All right. Hi, everyone, and thank you for coming to the workshop today. With me is my colleague and alumni from my department, Melissa Levy. She's right next to me. And then Karina is from the Career Center. So welcome to Celia, who's here. And we're going to just take a little time to go through some slides, and then we will have some time for any Q&A. Okay. So today's workshop is titled Proactive Career and Internship Marketing of Yourself. My name is Diana Robles, and I am a full-time lecturer in the Department of Child and Adolescent Studies since 2001. I just wanted to show you that it's very easy to do an electronic business card through this website called Popalme, Popalme, I think. Anyway, here's mine, and it's just really easy to do that. Sometimes people like to have something to sort of give to someone or show someone when they run into them or they meet them in the elevator. And so this is very easy to put together, and I will show you the website in a little bit. Okay. So why does this matter to me? Why do I think it's important to market yourself and to be prepared for the future career aspirations you may have? Well, my path is not that much different from your path, and possibly the only difference is that it happened over 25 years ago. But other than that, it really was pretty similar. I myself, a parent of two young women, I feel like it's important to get women out there in these careers and in these leadership roles and in these high-paying jobs just as equally as men. So, you know, having men participate in this is also wonderful. But I do, of course, have my heart because my daughters are going in both of them are going into the workforce. So how did I get where I am today as a professor of a large CSU campus, and having been born in East Los Angeles in very low income and first generation Latina with not a lot of people around me who were going to college. So I was finding myself really at a disadvantage, and I didn't even know it. And that's kind of the cool thing, is I didn't know I was poor and I didn't know I was disadvantaged. I just thought, oh my gosh, I have to work hard because this is the way it goes, right? So back in the day, I was an undergraduate student and then a graduate student in the health science department. And there was a professor by the name of Dr. Blanton. And I'll never forget him because actually he's the first chair person, you know, that I met that just went out and talked to his students. He was not inside his office ever. This man was always walking the hallways, going into classrooms, teaching. And he was a large, I mean, tall African-American gentleman. And he just said to me one day, girl, you need to get into, you know, the field of health science. You need to become a professor one day. And I thought, you're crazy. What are you talking about? I was in my 20s. What did I know, right? But the fact that he looked at me and thought that I had that potential made me feel like, hey, maybe that's a possibility. So later on, fast forward, I finished my master's degree in health science, and I'm in the midst of making a decision, that fork in the road between going into a more serious social work position, working with children who are abused and who may potentially be removed from their families and child protective services, or going to law school. So I was like this fork in the road, and I was thinking about it, and I really wasn't thinking of the money part of it. I was thinking about the impact part of it. So I ended up going into the Yellow Pages, which would be now Google, and looking for a woman and an attorney and a woman of color, because I wanted to know, hey, what is it like to be an attorney? So I found a woman by the name of Ana Noriega, and she answered her own business phone. Like, it was really hilarious. Her secretary was gone or something, and she answered it, and she said, you an attorney? She said, you need to follow me. You need to come with me to the LA Superior Court and see what it's like to be a judge and to see what it's like to be a woman in law. And I thought, oh my God, she's a serial killer and I'm going to go to her house and she's going to get me. And then I thought, you know what? I kind of like her. I like her voice. And I went ahead and met up with her the next day. And I went to LA with her in her little red BMW. And she was just this crazy gal. And actually, by the end of the day, I realized 100% I did not want to be an attorney, but I really loved the idea of it. And I became really good friends with her and realized I wanted to go on and get another master's degree so that I would not damage these individuals that I was going to work with. So I went back and got my master's in counseling. So mine was an interesting little path. I mean, even before that, I was not sure what I wanted to do. So it's good to just move forward. Ask questions. Don't ever assume anything. Don't be afraid to sound like you're asking a silly question, because really there are no silly questions. Allow your family, who you know who your family is, you know who your supporters are. Allow them to be there for you. Allow them to show you the grace that you need and the love that you need, because don't forget where you came from. And I never forget that. Don't let those voices in your head take over. The imposter syndrome is so strong. It makes us think that we're not good enough. And we ask ourselves constantly, why am I here? Why did I get picked? Why am I in this position? Don't ask those questions. Just do it. And you have the opportunity to crush it. It's up to you if you want to. So be the elevator for the next person. Get mentoring support, like the people I spoke about, but actually there are organizations now that are so much more solid than what I had. So I like this one. It's called Raise Women, and I am going to be talking mostly about women's support, but there's support for men everywhere. We know that. And I just like this mentoring program, because if you join something like this, you get matched with somebody and you can have an opportunity to hear about their life, and you won't be just calling a random person like I did and hoping that they're not a serial killer, and you're going to show up at their house or at their job site and go, oh my God, I want to know about this. So this is called raisewomen.com. The other one, because I'm a Latina, is called Hip Latina. And I like it because it's young, and I would have my daughters do something like this, not necessarily myself or my age, but for you, those of you that are here and you may want to look at a mentoring program for a woman of color, for a young woman of color, then this is a good place. They have sisterhood, education, empowerment, a lot of great programs. So I tell you about this because I want you to get those mentoring relationships early. Don't wait until you're finally ready to look for the job. Look for it now. All right. I cannot talk only about careers without talking about race and gender. So there's a lot of uneven outcomes for women of all races. So it does make me concerned. So that's why I'm going to bring it up. So results include, but aren't limited to, these are some of the barriers. Motherhood penalty. So if you have a baby or a child, we just finished talking about being pregnant, and motherhood penalties, right? Gender discrimination, occupational segregation. So women make 79 cents for every dollar men earn, but Black women earn only 64 cents on the dollar, and Latinas a dismal 54 cents a dollar, for every dollar. The career you select will also have factors. If you're going into a nonprofit versus a profit, if your field is social work versus engineering versus, math, you're going to make a whole different, level of salary. But also you're going to find as a woman, you're going to have a little bit still of racism and sexism in the career that no matter what career you pick. And women of color in particular. Factors that adversely affect women in a variety of occupations include other things like stifled leadership opportunities. You don't move up as much. The ongoing persistence of sexual harassment, subtle but pervasive doubts about your own competence, your intelligence, your skill, and all of those things may actually be unrelated to your performance. You could be amazing, right? And still be judged. So the Brookings Institute has some amazing data and some amazing things to read. And I give you this more for you to get sort of like an ongoing look at this, and don't just read this one article, but keep reading this. There's so much great data that will tell you about the workplace and, as a woman, or, just what is the the look for the future. Where should I be applying? So there's so many different things that I like about the Brookings Institute. So I want to share that with you. And I know I'm going a little fast, so I apologize for that, but I want to get everything in, and I want you to meet and talk to Melissa, who's a recent graduate. And also she is an alumni and also got a job at Cal State Fullerton. So we want to hear about what she did to make that happen. Okay, so what's the game plan? So first of all, experiential learning is based on learning theory. And that means that for learning to happen, you must be an active participant, right? You need to process the information, you need to be involved. So that's why it's so important to get going. Even if you're in school right now and you're so busy, you can't do anything, try to etch out some time for volunteering, for internships, right? A lot of you may also have to do internships because of your major. So personal development is one way also, and that is to look at other people in their settings, to look at multiple points of view, to learn how to communicate correctly, to problem solve, to work in teams. So this opportunity to get out there and see what's going on in your own community or in your own career is really what develops who you are. It's also something to put in your resume. You make connections, right? You have people that you can put down as references. You can develop professional relationships. You can learn how they deal with their career. You'll have, you have people you can call if you're wondering, right? So I'm not going to open these, but these are more information about gender equality, about employment for men, for men of color. And also this is from the Brookings Institute, which again is one of my favorite, reads. If I have time to read anything, I'll read some of the data that comes out from that website. All right. So professional development, again, is acquiring knowledge, skills, and attitudes, and the values of the profession. Find out, even if you like the field. Sometimes when you start doing the work, you realize this isn't for me. And I didn't tell you, but my first major was nursing. And I actually was so lucky that my nursing first year allowed us to go into the hospital. And that's when I realized I didn't like it. I didn't like the smell. I didn't like the white uniform. I didn't like any of the, just the whole role. And I'm so glad I figured that out, because then I could switch over to something more appropriate for me. I spent too much time talking to the patients and not treating them or working with their illnesses. So that's why I went into counseling. Civic development. So this also helps you understand the human context as a civic professional. So locally or even beyond your community, what's happening, what are the laws, what are going on in your own town, and what is the politics connected to that. You'll also be applying your school, your intern, your volunteer, your work experiences to real world experiences. And you'll be able to really explain when you go into an interview, you'll have things to say, because you've had experiences. I mean, we've all acquired a lot of new experiences since the pandemic, right? Now we know how to do Zoom. Now we know how to be online, how to market ourselves, even in this setting. So these are new skills that we can talk about. So that's what you get from being out in the community doing some volunteering or internship or a part-time job in your career focus. And then doing this, obviously, on top of your internship might be too much, but if you're already in an internship or a fieldwork experience, then these are things you're going to put in your resume, and make sure you're really highlighting it, because volunteer and internship opportunities in our careers are resume worthy, and they should be listed as relatable experience. So the preparation, I see it as there's lots of things to do, but if we take just a little bite, tiny bite and a little bite here, you won't think it's too much. So start by maybe taking an opportunity to set up an appointment with the Career Center. Maybe you're too busy right now, but keep in mind that when you graduate, you actually get 1 year of access to the Career Center. So don't forget about that. And this link takes us to the Career Center. And they also have all the listed services for alumni. Second, find mentors in your major at your internships, through your courses. I forgot about that. Befriend your faculty. Talk to them, tell them, hey, I want to know about you. Why did you pick this career? What is it like to do research in your field? Have you published? Know your faculty and use them as much as possible as your mentors, as your connections. When you start calling your professors by their first name, you have a friend for life. So make sure you do that. Find mentors in your community. So go into your community and find out, hey, where are the players in the field I want? So if I want to go into business, let me, approach Taco Bell. They're here in Orange County, and let me talk to someone who knows somebody there. And eventually you start becoming part of that experience and maybe get invited to come for a tour or go by and see someone. I was very interested in working with children. And one of the things I did was to ask to see, to get a tour of a program here in Orange County called the Child Abuse Services Team, CAST. And I was very interested in coming from LA County to Orange County to work there. And I sort of pretended to be just an interested individual, and I got a tour and I started making friends, and I realized this is the kind of job I want. And this is how I made sort of those connections. And eventually I applied, and I was able to see the same people I'd seen on the tour there. And it's just kind of like those people come around. Have a 30-second elevator pitch ready to share with anyone you meet, no matter who they are. If they're even remotely connected to what you want to do, you got to be ready to talk. You need to be very succinct. You don't want to be long-winded. You just want to give this is who I am. There are lots of really cool elevator pitch websites. And I personally find that a lot of these can be very, very helpful. And then some of them can be kind of, I don't know, maybe not even what you're looking for. But I think it's really important to try your best to put something together. Okay. So let's look at this.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Jen, and I'm a career coach at Indeed with over 10 years of experience helping people advance in their careers. Today, I'm going to share some advice on one of my favorite topics, how to create an effective personal elevator pitch. This video is going to give you the knowledge that you need to pitch yourself. That is, to tell a compelling story about who you are and where you're going in under 2 minutes. This type of elevator pitch is perfect for introducing yourself at a networking event or even in an interview. Also, please stick around until the end for 3 key best practices for delivering an elevator pitch. You don't want to miss this. So a personal elevator pitch is a concise story about your professional past and your ambitions. It should explain where you've been and where you're going. Generally 90 seconds or less, an elevator pitch markets you as a confident and intentional business partner or potential hire. During the early stages of an interview process or even a networking event, elevator pitches can be particularly helpful.
All right. I just wanted to show you really quick what that looks like. I would definitely go on this on your own and look at it thoroughly. We just don't have the time tonight. And then I mentioned to you the electronic business card. So that one is through this website called Popple. And it's very easy to put together. Here's my dashboard and how I put it together and the phone number. And you get it for free if you're not going to get all the bells and whistles. If you want to add a lot of extra stuff, you definitely would need to pay a little extra. But it's really simple. I had no problem, and I'm not that techie. So for me, it was like, I can do this. This is really easy. And so now when I'm somewhere, I can give my QR code or my website link, and a person will automatically have my business card. So it's really kind of easy, and I think it's kind of fun. So something for you to do. And here's my QR code. So just so you can see how easy it is to actually pull my contact information into your phone. All right, positioning yourself. So what should you be doing today? Well, first of all, stay engaged. We're going to listen to a very quick little short blurb from our career specialist for HHD at the Career Center. How about virtual volunteering and volunteering viewed by internships? It's viewed exactly the same. If you do virtual or you're in person, I think now we're sort of in a safe place to say that they count it equally. There was a lot of thoughts about that for a while. Joining LinkedIn. Absolutely. Get yourself on LinkedIn, make sure it looks professional, update a great resume and a cover letter if you want, or at least have one ready to go. If you're not sure about the resume or how to put it together, you can get some support at the Career Center. They have an amazing resume drive through. They have all these services. They also have a booklet on the Career Center's website that is actual samples, resumes based on people's careers. And then why network and connect in the desired field? I think it just makes sense. It's what I've been talking about. It's like get in there, find out what you like, and don't stop. Keep finding out what you like. And then have faculty and professionals on all levels in your life. Learn about their careers, have them as people for your future references, and have them there to talk with. All right, let me do that really quick interview that Elizabeth Bobadilla did for my students. So let's see. All right, I'm just going to play it for a couple of minutes.
Do a little interview. How you doing, Elizabeth?
Hi. Hi, Diana. Hi, Titans.
It's so exciting because we have some updates and we want to make sure that students are prepared for not only the job market, but the internship market and the volunteer market, because a lot of opportunities are available. So the first question is, how can I market myself during the pandemic and post-pandemic?
Yeah. I think part of it is intentionality. I encourage students to really think of being intentional in your journey of marketing yourself, conducting your reflection, your self-assessment, really identifying skills, abilities, any type of experience that you have had a chance to navigate through that have helped you build those skills and abilities, that knowledge that you could then, provide and highlight to future employers or future graduate committees. And so it's about investing in you, because at the end of the day, you're the one that has to go out there and market yourself and has to compete, for an opportunity amongst, a slew of candidates. And so really it's just planning, being intentional, and carving out time to really look at what do you need in order to make yourself a competitive candidate, whether it's, during this pandemic or post, pandemic.
Sounds very helpful. Yes. So now that internships have started again, what do students need to know?
Yes. So I feel like it's planning in advance, really kind of starting the search process or this, the search process as early as possible. I think often students wait a little to the last minute, some students. And so by the time, the semester comes around and, I haven't had a chance I can't find an internship. Well, it's because they may have started applying 2 weeks before. It typically happens during the winter time. But it's like really carving out and starting at least 3 months before, if not even 6 months before, developing a plan of what type of opportunities are going to allow you to build and develop maybe some of your areas of weakness or knowledge that you want to gain. And then investing time and searching for opportunities that meet those kind of short-term goals that you have. And then, working on your resume, on your cover letter, maybe even practicing your interviewing skills, even though you don't have interviews scheduled just yet because you haven't applied, but it's like that pre-prep work, pre-planning is critical, because at one point, once you start searching various databases for positions, some of those opportunities may have a deadline of today and you have to submit a resume. So if you don't have your resume ready, it's going to be time, that you have to put that together, making sure that it's a strong resume. So you may have a resume, but, maybe go to our drop-in hours or schedule an appointment with one of our career coaches to review your resume in advance. Make sure that it is a strong marketing tool that you could then submit and apply. And then keeping in mind that for positions, you may apply today, and it might be a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month for an employer to consider, to review, to reach out to you. So again, if you need, for example, of an internship in the fall, you should start definitely preparing a lot of these pieces in the spring. If you are looking for something in the summer, again, preparing in advance is really critical.
Okay, I'm going to move it up a little. You might be stuck.
Absolutely. Any tips for being successful in the job market? I think you already mentioned being purposeful and intentional. Anything else?
No, purposeful, intentional, especially as it relates to, and keeping in mind that you're not the only one in this boat. And I say that because often students come in and they're like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm about to graduate. I'm not sure. And oftentimes it's like, I'd be the only one, that is feeling that, and you're not. I think this is very common, for many students to go through. I mean, I would even say for me, I had a career for 10 years, and all of a sudden it's like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Let me shift. And so I graduated, I embarked in something that was related to my undergrad major. And then all of a sudden, 10 years later, I'm starting. So this is something that happens very frequently. But part of that is that purposeful and intentionality. You might not be interested in that anymore. You've been doing it a long time. You haven't done it a long time. But how can you shift, and how can you demonstrate that initiative, being proactive of like, okay, it is what it is, right? Now, what do I do in order to look for something else that is well aligned with what I want to do, or aligned with my interests, my skills, my strengths. So it's a matter of just being aware that you might encounter that. You might not be encountering that now, but once you start your career, you might encounter it. A lot of people don't stick to their career and do it for the rest of their life. Research shows that people change careers anywhere between 2 to 3 times in a lifetime. So keep that in mind. And I would say that at any point, if you do come across that moment where you're like, I'm not sure, what do I do next? That's where I really encourage you to come and talk to me or someone in our office. So that way we could review what you've done, and help you kind of determine what may be next steps that you want to focus on. Do keep in mind that, your services are free as you're a student. And once you graduate, you do have access to our services for a year after you graduate. So unfortunately, if you're, been working in the career and all of a sudden it's 5-10 years later, you can't come back and use the Career Center anymore, but I would say definitely utilize our services, while you kind of prepare for that moment of graduation.
All right. So Elizabeth Bobadilla is the HHG career specialist. Every college has their own career specialist. So you would want to look on the Career Center website to find out who your person is and make an appointment with them directly. I think it's really important to etch some time out. I know we get really busy, especially in grad school. It's like this crazy, 24/7. You don't have any time to think about anything, but it is so important to etch out a little bit of time. It's 1 hour, and then just go sit there and ask those questions. Maybe find out where your strengths are. Maybe you thought you were going one way, but you want to go another way. So anyway, that's one of my biggest suggestions for positioning yourself. Be the best you that you can be. Again, the Career Center here is actually their career guide. I would highly recommend you download this. And it's a guide for majors and career exploration. It has the job search process. It has resume writing. It has letters and interviewing writing. It also really is a way for you to start polishing your resume if you haven't already. And then if you want to research employers, the Career Center also has a really good link on who the employers are who are out there that are looking for Cal State Fullerton alumni and graduates. So if you're like, oh, I'm wondering about this one organization, but it's in San Bernardino and I don't know it that well, look and see if they're a friend of our Career Center and what, people say about them. Visit the Center for Careers. I am so stuck on that. Visit the Center for Internships and Community Engagement, which I call CICE, but everybody tells me now it's CICE. And if you go to their website, they actually have a lot of great resources for internships. So if you hold off on your questions about that, because Melissa is actually a CICE employee and she's going to tell you about that. Take on different internships, volunteer roles. You may not know this, but there are a lot of boards that love to have students on their boards. So a nonprofit, for example, like Easter Seals, they may have a board and on their board, they have a student or they have, a paraprofessional or once you graduate and you're in the field, getting on a board is really important. It helps you also develop yourself in your career. It also helps you find out about the background, what's going on in that agency, and also learning about being a voice on a board. If you've been on a board here at Cal State Fullerton as a student, you know what I'm talking about. Join clubs, find mentors. Melissa's probably the best example I know of someone who took advantage of all those things, and she'll tell you about that because she was involved in our majors club. She was also involved in other, ongoing sort of professional links, and so she'll tell you about that. And then one thing that I know a lot of you may not know, but you may experience it, and it is the hidden curriculum. So there's a really good article, and it comes from Higher Ed, which is this is actually a chronicle of higher education, but it's originally one I found when I'm a member of the Higher Ed, searching for jobs in higher ed. Anybody can join, it's free. But this article, I love it. And I also think that they're also going to be having a free workshop on it. And the hidden curriculum is really like all the know, what the know is. Like if you are a first-gen student like me and you go into a university, how do you talk to people? How do you send emails? How do you, when someone says something and you're not sure, what does that mean? They're an investigator or they are, a dean. Like, what are all those, like words that you've never heard before? Many of you, of course, are now in grad school, so you know a lot of that from learning it along the way. But one of the things about the hidden curriculum is that a lot of us didn't get to know the hidden curriculum until we were in it. So I like this because it also reminds us of how we can give back by helping others that are still starting out and not sure how to maneuver through, not just the professional, but the social stuff, navigating through and having allies in the field. All right, so the last thing I'm going to talk about before I have Melissa give her background is an e-portfolio. So if you don't know what that is, then you need to know about this. This is something I found out way later in life, and I wish I had found out early. And now that we have everything electronic, it's so much easier. So it's a place on your desktop where you put a folder and you just drop everything that you are doing that is significant. Any certificates, any workshops you go to, like this workshop, I would take a picture or put the PowerPoints when you get them into your portfolio. You attended, you watched this, you saw this, you heard the information. It's now giving you another notch of experience. There's also a YouTube, really good, really quick little career topic on e-portfolios. So it usually has your personal information, like your digital card that I just showed you, a career summary and a list of your goals, your current resume, and then maybe you have different versions of your resume. Maybe you have a short one and a long one and one for this job and one for that. A list of your skills and your accomplishments, which could be any conferences you go to, workshops you attend, events you go to. And anything you do, if you're ever asked to do something as a student and you had to do a presentation, put it in there. And then this includes any work and academic project samples, because you never know when you're going to be going to an interview and they ask you to bring a sample of something. And now you have to look through every old Canvas site you've ever been on. And you don't want to do that. Have everything in one place. I know this sounds tedious, but I will tell you, having had to testify in court for my job, if I did not have this put together, I would fumble through, and it's not the right way to be in a professional setting. So please think about an e-portfolio, go on there and put that together for yourself. All right. So how did this amazing alumni get here? Well, she's going to tell you, and Melissa Levy is going to be speaking about herself.
Oh, it's one of my least favorite things to do, but I'm here to do it. Hi, like Diana said, my name is Melissa Levy, and I am alumni of the cast department. I did graduate in 2016. It was probably one of the biggest accomplishments of my life because I grew up as a kid with learning disabilities, and I was told back in the day, they would tell you, and maybe still today, like, you can't go to college. I'm so sorry. You're just too stupid. They didn't say you're just too stupid. They would just say it's just too hard for you. And so I believe that. I believe that with my whole being, that I was not cut out for college. And so I went right from high school that I barely graduated because I believed I, again, was not right for education. It was all too hard for me. And I went right into the job market, into the working world, and I worked in the mortgage business. Well, first I worked at JD Powers, but we don't talk about that. That was short. But then I went into the mortgage business, and I was in the mortgage business for a very long time. And many of you may be, I don't know how old you are or whatever, but if you remember in 2007, there was a huge crash of the mortgage industry. And I had kind of had it. I was like, you know what? I don't like doing this anymore. This doesn't help anyone. And I want to help people. And I thought, I know some people that are going to school, and I think I could do it too. If they could do it, I could do it, because I'm working with numbers and doing all this hard mortgage stuff all the time. I bet I could go back to school. And so that's what I did. I had my daughter prematurely, or my child prematurely, and I had spent a lot of time in the NICU, and I just was enamored with child development and how babies grow and change and learn. And so that was my path. And I did I went to the community college for a couple of years, and then the greatest thing happened. I got accepted to Cal State Fullerton. I couldn't believe it. I just worked so hard at the community college, and I had my accommodations from the Disabled Student Services, and I got a 4.0 cumulative in my community college, got accepted into Cal State Fullerton. Yay. Went to Cal State Fullerton, and on my first day, let's talk about mentors. My first day, I met Pamela Oliver, Dr. Oliver. The fire alarm the alarm in the elevator was going off. Her and I needed to go up to her office because she was going to add me to her class. The alarm in the elevator was going off, so her and I had to sit and wait because she was not walking up the stairs, and I was not about to walk up the stairs either. It's 5 floors. We were like, no way, we're not doing it. It's September, it's hot. No. And so we sat there talking, and I used that moment, like Diana was saying, to kind of talk about myself, tell her about my dreams, tell her about my goals. I was an older student. I was in my 30s. She had been an older student when she went back to school. And we just bonded in that moment. And I can't tell you how valuable my friendship has been with her. That was my first mentor. Dr. Oliver was my first mentor. And so that kind of started my career here at Cal State Fullerton. And during that time, I did my first internship, and I met, Diana Robles was Professor Robles was our academic advisor too at the time. So I had met Professor Robles. I did my first internship, and I had previously, like Diana was saying, I had thought I wanted to be a teacher, and I did an observation in a classroom, and I was like, oh, this is not for me. I don't want to shush kids all day long. I want to work with children. I love children. I don't want to discipline them. I want to work with them, and I want to support them. I don't want to discipline them. I already have my own kid. That's enough for me. And so I decided that I wanted to do what we have in the CAST department, which is the family community track. And so I did my first internship. It really wasn't what I was looking for. And I went to Diana and I said, hey, what if I was your intern? So I basically created my own internship. And I can tell you that when you have those ideas, those things that just work for you got to go with it. Like no one knows you better than you. No one knows better than you what you are good at. And no one knew in that moment better than me what my heart was telling me I wanted to do and what I thought I would be good at. And the best way to know is to try it out, right? So I said that to Diana, and Diana was good enough to talk to Kate Bono, and they said, okay, cool. Yeah, you could do it. And I did. And through that internship, we actually created a program, I think that went on for several years after I left, doing a peer academic advising internship. But through that internship, I realized that I really love to help others find and realize their passion and dreams and find a way to get to their goals. And so that is kind of my story. So from there, I went to grad school and I graduated on the top of my class in grad school too. Lots of hard work, lots of tears, lots of late nights, lots of coffee, lots of coffee. But you know what? Grad school is like a blink. It seems like it takes a long time, but it really is like a blink. And I took advantage of everything I could. I took advantage of, like Diana was saying, well, when I was in my undergrad, I did CASA, the Child and Adolescent Student Services Association. I joined every club I could in both my undergrad and grad school, which was a little harder because of the pandemic. So some of those clubs kind of went away during grad school, but I did everything I could and got involved in every way I could. And no matter what, when my brain would say to me, why you? Why you? I would say to my brain, why not me? So you got to say to yourself, why not me? I totally could. So that's kind of my experience. Oh yeah, I graduated and Diana Robles told me, hey, they have this opportunity at CIC, which I had bragged about CIC because it's really on this campus, we are so lucky to have the Center for Internships and Community Engagement. Other campuses don't have those kind of resources, and you're kind of like fending in the old west on your own for your internship, right? That's like out there just fighting other people for your internship. But here they have all kinds of resources. They really help you with your internship. I should say, because I was recently hired here as the campus and student engagement coordinator for the Center for Internships and Community Engagement. So I get to work directly with students to find internships that fuel their passion, that are good for them, so they can try it out and see, is this really what I want to be when I grow up? Or try it out and see, oh my gosh, yes, this is what I want to be when I grow up. I'm great at this. So that's that. Now, my motivation, my why. Here's what I will tell you my why is. My why, and I talked about this, I was actually the commencement speaker at my 2016 graduation. I want to be the person, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but I want to be the person I needed when I was younger. I needed mentors and people to tell me, why not you, Melissa? Why can't you? You can, instead of the ones that told me, no, you can't. I was told, no, you can't so often. I want to be the person that says, oh my gosh, yes, you can, and let's find a way. Because even though your way may not look like the person's next to you, the way of the person standing next to you, it doesn't matter. You can still get to the same place. I think it's called equifinality. There's lots of different paths to the same destination. And so that is my why, to help other people, find their way and to tell them, yes, you can. There's some stuff on here about interview processes. Be prepared. Yes. Read your job description carefully, customize that cover letter, customize your resume to the job that you're applying for. I have lots of experience, 25 years in the mortgage industry, that is useless to me now. It's not useless. I learned a lot in those jobs, but on a resume, it's pointless to put it there, right? So I don't put that on there. But if I was applying for a job where I was going to be doing corporate America type things, I would put that on there, right? So you got to make sure that you're customizing your stuff. Now I'll have to defer to Diana about negotiating salary because I'm still not great at that.
So it's, yeah, the reason I put those two at the end was because you recently went through an interview process with
I
the
did.
CSU, right? So what was that like? Was it a panel presentation? I mean, a panel interview? What was it like? And then there are places you can negotiate and there are places you cannot negotiate because there's this one specified range. But tell us about your experience.
So, my interview and most interviews for education are panel interviews, both at the K through 12 level and the higher education level. They are very much panel interviews. And if you are very, very lucky, which I was with CIC, they will send you the list of questions beforehand so you can read them. If you are middle of the road lucky, they will give them to you right before your interview while you sit in the lobby with your palms sweating and your fancy clothes on. If you are if you are completely unlucky, it will be just go in there blind and hope you know what to say. So, read about companies, learn about them, because you need to have those good questions to ask. And they're going to say, what do you know? How do you fit in with I don't know, with our goals? And then if you don't know those goals, you're going to look really silly. So you do want to kind of read up. But that was the process. There was an interview, an initial interview, then a second interview that was that the initial one was on Zoom and the second one was on campus. And that seems to kind of be a pattern in higher education, I think. Now, since the pandemic, the first one will be like Zoom, and then are you in person worthy? Are you on campus worthy to come back a second time? I do want to say something about salaries now. This is such a great time because California law, they have to post a salary range now. Back in the day, they did not. And so now we can see, all right, I can be in this range. And so that will help you in negotiating.
Mhm.
But I applied before that law came into effect, so that was not there. But it is now.
Yeah, and it is important, to at least make have some kind of a number and not mention it until HR contacts you. It is not something to ask at the interview. It is something to ask once you've been offered the position. And it's okay to, be told, sorry, we can't go to that, but we can maybe meet you here. And that's, that'll be nice. It's nice to get at least to be able to put out a number. I know I transferred from LA County Department of Children and Family Services to Orange County Child and Family Services. So I transferred, they called that back then an intra-county transfer. So you'd think it'd be smooth. It was not smooth. But one of the things I know is now, and I just was lucky. I said, well, I don't want to come in any lower than my current salary, obviously. But also because I'm Spanish speaking and because you need somebody in that position, I would like to ask for this much. And they had to go to the board of supervisors because these are county jobs that already determined salaries, and they got it cleared. It wasn't like I was asking for the moon and the stars because this is, a county job. But the fact that they did take it and they were able to give me close to what I wanted was perfect. So it never hurts to ask. You never know. Can always be said, told no, but at least you gave it the effort.
Yeah. And the thing is we tell people what we're worth, right? We tell them. So, what are you telling people that you're worth? So you got to think about that. But Diana's right. You don't mention that until you get that call from HR.
Yeah. So do you like your current job, Melissa?
I love my current job. I've only been here a few months, like 3 months, but it is amazing. I love working with my fellow Titans, Titan for life. Yay, yay, yay. And I just love working with students and doing these kind of presentations and knowing I think my reach is further when I'm making a difference in a lot of students' life than if I'm just like, doing something for me. So I feel like my reach in the ripples in the world. I love the quote that you put here too. I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples, which is definitely what I'm working on doing. And I do love it here. So, and grad school's worth it. It's worth it, and you will survive.
I know it's hard when you're in it. And I do remember how lucky and how fortunate I felt at the end. I'm done. You just want to walk away from that because you get tired of being in school. Also keep in mind that this is a process. So don't feel like you're going to get everything and be able to put your e-portfolio together and be ready with your, e-card and your elevator pitch. Take a little bit at a time. Just do one thing. And then as you start doing those things, eventually you'll get through and you'll be done with everything. So Melissa is a perfect example of somebody who said, this is what I want to do. Now she's here and she'll probably end up getting my position at some point. I've got about 3.5 years, Melissa, so you better hurry up. One of the things I I'm mentoring her now is to consider teaching. So once you have a graduate degree, you can teach at a 4-year institution or at a community college. You can teach because you have a master's degree. You don't have to have a PhD. Now, if you want to make it your career and you want to make it long term, then you probably want to get a PhD so that you can do, a more of a tenure track position. But if you want to do that like on the side, or you want to do it, it becomes like me, a full-time job. It's a great way to, go from your learning to your, teaching. So hopefully Melissa will move into that next and then get her into my position.
That's been your evil plan forever.
Exactly. All right. So next, and we're here for questions, but next is the quick little survey that the Career Center would like you to complete about our presentation. So you can either scan the QR code or you can enter that link on your computer, whatever's easiest for you. So please do that. And then we're going to open it up for questions and see if anybody would like to ask any questions or make any comments. We have about 5-7 minutes. Or if there's anything else, Melissa, that you just thought of that you're like, oh, I forgot to mention that.
I have a question.
Karina.
Yeah, for mentorship, have you guys always, is it something that you formally have to ask for, or can you have like informal mentors, or because something I've always had difficulty is like asking for stuff, like especially like when it comes to myself, like I just hate like asking something knowing that it might put someone in a position of a what's it called, of like needing to do stuff for me.
Right.
I was just persistent and annoying. I don't know.
You were never annoying, but persistence is good. And actually, Karina, it's more like kind of a natural flow into a mentoring relationship. It's almost like organic. Like, people that you admire, you try to get close to them. You try to maybe send them your information, maybe just give them a call. I told you I found my mentor, in the Yellow Pages. Sometimes you just have to take a chance and ask, well, do you have any room for me in your research, or can you let me observe you teaching a class, or could I observe you for the day at your position? And I think most people are really wanting to give back, especially if they're doing well, if they got the job of, of a lifetime. I tell Elizabeth Bobadilla that she's got the job of a lifetime. She has a really cool job at the Career Center. And a lot of people like to shadow her. She says, yeah, I have people shadow me all the time. So yeah, be annoying, be nice, be approachable. Yeah. What do you think, Melissa? Anything else?
Yeah, just look for those people you admire. I mean, exactly what you said. And if you're a student, obviously, as a student, you can, there's a lot of opportunities to be an assistant, maybe a grad assistant or something like that, to someone as a grad student, to someone that you admire. And that can also turn into a mentoring relationship. But you also have to be really open and willing to learn, because it's hard to mentor someone who already has everything figured out, right? So I did not have anything figured out. So, and I was really open and willing to learn. And so I think it made me a ideal mentee, and I picked really, really great mentors. So